So welcome. So the topic speaks to you all? Yeah. I've been feeling this topic come in for a good while. And I'm really glad to be able to branch out and speak about some things that maybe it's not often done in the non-dual world. Not that I consider myself per se non-dual. I don't even really know anymore what that is. Do you? I don't even know how did that even happen? That people started saying it's like a new religion or something. And either you fit in it or you don't. I'd rather not fit in. I don't know. Whatever it is, I'd rather not fit in. Just because I feel like we need to give ourselves permission to be everything, to be expansive, to keep growing out of definitions, to follow our own truth. To go beyond what we know and what others know even. So today is about the path of devotion. Without which, I don't know how we can really fully live our lives. It's whatever you're devoted to. I mean, your loved ones, your children, your work, passions, artistic endeavors, music, whatever it is. So I have a Hafiz, a little short Hafiz poem, because him and Rumi and Shams, all those beings weren't they just like the epitome of devotion? I love the Sufi devotional path. That's why I'm kind of eclectic. I like to take a little bit from different places because I'm eclectic. Give myself permission. David, you have a book there, huh? You have the Hafiz book. Yeah, beautiful. Oh yeah, right. Poems of Love, the Book of Love. Yeah, I know that one. So this poem is called It Felt Love. Isn't that interesting? It. How did the rose ever open its heart and give to this world all its beauty? Yeah. It felt the encouragement of light against its being. Otherwise, we all remain too frightened. Sums it up. How did the rose ever open its heart and give to this world all its beauty? That's us, right? It felt the encouragement of light against its being. Light. The light source. Touching the heart. And I love that word, encouragement. And then otherwise we all remain too frightened. Because if it's just up to us, how are we going to do this? I mean, being a light unto yourself is a beautiful, beautiful pointer. You know what the Buddha said. But it only takes you so far, in my experience. To get through the eye of the needle, we need to surrender. and let go. And how do we do that? Without the encouragement of the light, right? How do we do that? How do we open? How do we let go that last bit? Being a light unto yourself takes you only so far. It takes you, in my experience, it takes you to the gate. But in the end, it's not just onto ourselves, right? There's a putting everything down. That's this beautiful use of longing and personal will, intention, the enlightenment drive inside working us can get us so far. But then every single master that we admire, every single being, in the end, has to put everything down, even being a light unto oneself. Does that make sense? And to me, that's when you enter the surrender requires this devotion to something greater than us. And in the case of the rose that Hafiz was speaking about, which he knew directly for himself, he was speaking about the encouragement of the light. That's something greater than oneself. In the end, it is oneself too. I'm not trying to bring up duality or confuse you. See, feeling into and leaning into something greater than oneself, it keeps one humble. It keeps one, it helps one stay innocent so that you're not burdened by all the learning and all the understandings that have been gained. There is something always greater than ourselves. And that is the path of devotion summed up. And even some of the beings that we admire and love, let's pull some out of the hat. Ramana, in my case, Amma, Neem Karoli Baba, Jesus. So which one of these, Ramakrishna, you can just go anywhere. All the beautiful, the Dalai Lama, all these beautiful beings, they turn their face towards the sun. They turn their face towards the light, to something that is actually greater than themselves, which they know themselves to be a part of. But it keeps you humble. And it also lends incredible support. I wouldn't have been able to do this without all the support. My own journey. There was a time, maybe some of you know this, if you listen to any of the interviews, there was a time when I turned away from support so that I could be a light unto myself. And that happened organically and spontaneously. It's like walked away, put it all down. It was just this spontaneous thing. Needed to be completely naked, completely free of leaning on anything. And we could do a whole talk on that. But this is a different talk. This is about the beauty of support, the beauty of having, I love to say this, like leaning back into a lap that's larger than yours and more encompassing, enfolding you with support. That lap leans into another lap that's larger than itself. That's how it goes. And it's because we are interconnected that that's how it goes. It's because we're all one. It's this love that life has for itself. It's the love that intelligence has for itself. It's the love that the divine has. And all it takes for us is to remember. And it's a beautiful thing. I just want to say it's a beautiful thing to have longing in your heart for God, whatever you want to call it, divine, wholeness, I don't care what you call it. It's a beautiful thing to all these beautiful poets, these heart-centered poets, they cried out for God in their longing. They expressed their pain. They were honest with the fact that they felt the separation and it was so agonizing to them. Agonizing. Who here sometimes feels the agony of separation? It's honest. It's beautiful. See, this is where the poetry came from. It's like the agony, the longing. You can see in a development in like Rumi poetry, like the longing, the almost begging. Save me from myself. And then the poetry evolves into union. Well, the beloved that he was longing for gets to be known in his own being, like they merge. The longing for, you wouldn't long for it if you didn't already have a sense of it, right? So this longing for something that we know exists, this longing for wholeness. And the longing is like, the knocking on heaven's door. Let me in. Let me in. I don't know how to do this. That's one of the things that arises and comes, that's really helpful with embracing a devotional path at some point in your journey. If it's true to you, is that it speaks the truth of your childlike place where you are in yourself, which is kind of childlike, right? Longing for the blessing of the beloved, longing for the divine. And what's wrong with that? I mean, what's wrong with being honest about that? I mean, I think all along the way we should be honest about where we're at, not cover it over and pretend that we're somewhere where we're not. So play it out. played out to its end. Does anybody here know who Ramakrishna was? You look him up if you don't. An Indian saint, um, 1800s, I guess. Not exactly, but anyway, he played it out to the hilt. And Vivekananda came out of the Ramakrishna order, and Vivekananda came to the US and brought Vedanta, which we're all benefiting from. But Ramakrishna was crazy wild devotional. Now we would just go, people, he dressed in women's clothes, and and then there was a time where he was praying to the mother, and then he felt like he was the mother, and he was feeding the Kali statue, and he was just kind of wild. He also played the role of being a child and being like a baby. He played out all these different roles and then came to a full fruition of total realization, knowing himself as everything, as the mother, as the child, as the father, as the beloved, as the full embodied bestower of grace, all of the roles. And he never forgot all the roles. It wasn't like, it's done, end of story, now I'm just No, he continued to feel all those parts be a part of him and value every single part. In my own way, I feel that way too. Sometimes I feel like a child. And it feels so nice. I mean, I recognize 100% that there are beings, and I feel them, who are way more evolved than I am. And it's not like a hierarchy. It's just the divine spark in its evolution. And other times I feel the fullness of just like I'm in service to others, and I'm just using everything I can to be here, whatever is possible, all the capacities that are possible, which aren't mine. Other times I feel like the kind of the energy of the Divine Mother flowing through. Other times I feel the absolute nature of the Shiva, like boom. Solid like a rock. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? These different kinds of archetypes flowing through. Child, mother, father, beloved. Yeah, at times it's the beloved. This love affair with that. It is. It's a love affair. That's in the end, the fruition, the full blossoming of the devotional aspect of us, because it's an aspect. We have the jnana part, I'll get to that. But the devotional, the full fruition, is we know ourselves so much as that there's a constant quality of reverence. Love, love for, love with. All those kind of like me and that falls away, but there's just this love, and we're here in a body, we have eyes, we can see, we can feel. What are you going to do with it? You're going to walk around and just say it's all empty, there's nothing real, it's all, it's just, it's like, wow, look at this. And we dance with it, right? And there's like give and take, and there's like calling and responding that happens from life every day, every moment. What is that? So yeah, the path of devotion, it really is like you turn your face towards the sun and you let yourself be warmed, nourished, supported, loved by this mystery that we don't quite yet fully, and maybe we won't. How can we fully know anyway? Ever we won't, because we just can't. There's 8 billion of us almost. Maybe with all of that, all the beings and all the creatures and the elemental, the rocks, the trees, everything. Maybe with all of that and all the cosmos, all the universes upon universes. Maybe if we could be aware of the consciousness of all of that simultaneously, including that which is aware of it simultaneously, maybe then we know what it's like. So that's why there's this humbleness, right? I don't know one of the beings that I admire. Maybe there are some that you could list that wasn't also devotional. I mentioned Ramana earlier. He had Arunachala, the mountain. In Kurli Baba, I mentioned he was devotional to Ram. So he saw Ram as vaster than his own being, which was a part of his own being too, of course. In the end, I like this line about the encouragement. Without having a taste of the path of devotion in your being, the understanding of what it means, it's really easy to feel discouraged. And as long as you feel discouraged, it's helpful to remember that, and lean into something greater than yourself. Why not? Why not receive the love and support that is there? Might be, Mother Mary, Christ, the earth herself. I don't know what is important to you. But I really don't feel like we're meant to do this all alone in the end. There's a time, like I said, to be a light unto yourself. But that is in order for beliefs to fall away. That's in order to become naked and empty and free yourself up from false ideas. Like unplug yourself um, from the hypnotic pull of all that lies outside of you. Being a light unto yourself as you come back and you take an inner seat inside. And go, I'm not going to move. I'm not going to move until I know for myself what's true. And every one of these beings we talk about that or that we love, whoever they are, they did that. They had to. So it's this interesting paradox, isn't it, of like being internal and not being lost in the world, the Maya, and the paradox of opening to something vaster and greater than oneself, and saying in the end, I really don't know how to do this. So there's a time for different parts of our journey. Does this make sense? That there are times, there's a different time for different parts of our journey. Okay. Some people get confused about this. Like, how can you be devotional and still realize your true nature? Well, you follow what is true for you in the moment. I remember when I was in my early 20s, I first started to meditate too, but I think I'm inherently devotional. I'm not saying we all are, that's our main thread in life, but I think it exists in everyone. But I remember just like, being the longing that I spoke about earlier, of longing for the beloved, you know, not really knowing yet that the beloved is here. So like praying and longing with my heart. And that's a sincere thing. That's honest. We don't ask children to walk before they crawl. Unless, some do. But you know what I mean? Like, these are developmental stages. And it's almost like it supports, one stage can support another stage. The fullness of it, the full giving over to a stage can lead to the natural emergence to the next stage, right? So first we might want something with all our heart. We don't know how to get it. We don't know how. It's just honest. We go to teachers or we go out in nature and long for the understanding that we see all around us that we don't know yet for ourselves, that it's one thing and at peace with itself. So we do that. So we do this kind of like maybe I'll map out what happened with me, and you can see where, if any of this resonates and if it's true for you, and if it isn't, that's fine, because everyone has their journey. I can't speak a journey that fits everybody's. So for me, there was this longing because I felt like I had lost intrinsic wholeness. I was in pain. I was suffering inside. I wanted to feel the unification inside. I didn't know those words, but I knew that something was missing. So I went about however I went about. We all go about it. Meditation was really powerful and supportive because I got really still inside. But then during the day, when I wasn't doing the meditation, what was I doing? I was mostly longing. Does anybody else understand that longing? Yeah. It's this prayer, it's the sincere prayer. We don't know exactly, we just know we want. And it's the real want. It's not the want for a car, it's or a better relationship or whatever. It's the root of wanting, like just this gaping wanting. Which, when it's really honest, it's beautiful. It's very sincere. Just what if I mean, I did that, and I if this is where you're at, I recommend fully giving over to wanting purely. Go for the sincere rawness of wanting without necessarily the imagination of what it is. You just stay with the pure wanting. That's a hunger. That's true devotion at its rawness. It's the lover longing for its beloved, but it just wants. And you strip down all the other wants down to the essential want. We fill it up with all kinds of things, right? Food and all kinds of things to fill the essential. We have to eat, of course. But you know what I mean? Like this wanting gets kind of pushed into the world again. Like if I have this, I have that. So that's the drying up of all the wanting. And that's how these two things of being a light unto yourself and the path of devotion, where they merge, is that the being a light unto yourself, it pulls back all the imagination of what wanting is going to get you in the world. And then you sit with the pure fire inside of longing. That's really using being a seeker to its fullest. Use it. Being a seeker is powerful. If you really harness it and use it. And you really are sincere with it, stay with it. The longing. And then it burns up all around you the falsehood of what it is you think you want, because you don't actually know. Until you know, you don't know. You sense it. If you knew it, it'd be done. So you sense what you want, but you stay with the unknown of like, I don't know how to get this. I don't know how to do this. I mean, how many people here have, it might be you, but how many people here have known people who have gone for 20, 30 years of practices and still haven't arrived anywhere, much anywhere? And it's not like there isn't some peace and maybe better communication, you know what I mean? More kindness, good stuff, better human being. But they still haven't arrived in themselves. It's because they're not coming back to the essential want. And you can't know what that is. That's where you're a child. That's where you're innocent. And the problem with practices to get somewhere, in a way, if there are any problems with it, I'm not labeling practices as being bad, is that if you think that you're going to get what you want, you're still in the outward momentum of in the world of becoming. in the world of achieving, in the world of arriving. So you see how you're leaning out of yourself. You're still leaning out. So that, like the essence of devotion is you give up with your innocence to something greater than yourself. And that's by admitting to yourself, you don't know how to do this on your own, completely. And it's not like some benevolent being is going to do it for you either. That's not what I'm saying. But it's just where grace lives is in the absence of being the doer in the end. So you have to give over to something greater or unknown. It's a relinquishing. And that's kind of like a childlike thing. Put down all the doing toys and just, I don't know how to do this. And so often at that point, something else happens. Something happens. Who knows that? Who knows that for themselves, that something happens? Yeah. And it doesn't have to be the big bang of permanent realization, something happening. But these clues that you're on the right track, that when you let go, that something happens. And this is also the point of maturation for someone who's devotional by nature, let's say, and who's been with a guru or teacher or seeing nature as their teacher or whatever it is, infinite intelligence, is this kind of like childlike way of like, you do it for me, has to end. Because that's in the end also leaning out, right? So it's like it takes more innocence than that, because that's still kind of a dependency. So just like being on the path of devotion and devoted to your teacher or whatever you want to call it, anything, can in the end needs to be, the way you do that needs to be put down, because eventually you'll see it's not doing it. In the end, it can bring you far, just like practices can bring you far, but in the end it's not going to bring you through the eye of the needle. So in the end, they kind of come together. The yana path and the doing practices path and the devotional path, they merge in a place of ultimate innocence, nakedness. I don't know how to do this. And a real teacher, if you believe they really can do that or exist, sometimes there can be a lot of disappointment with teachers. Would want you that for you to come to that point inside of letting go. Same with all the practices, all that. Letting go. Jnana yoga, the path of inquiry, a beautiful path, in its own way, right? You have to let go. What is it supposed to lead to? What do all these paths lead to? And still there's this knowing, whether you're in all along the way, the path of devotion is can be supportive when we're in the longing phase, because there is real benevolence that does exist. Who here feels benevolence like the the unseen hand of divinity reaching out and supporting you at times in your life? It's a beautiful thing. Thank you. Whenever someone I work with is feeling especially um, unsupported and really super dry, there's a time to be feeling like moored and emptied out, and that's perfect. There's a time for different things. But there's also a time of like, your barrenness, internal barrenness is not needed. We are so conditioned to do all this on our own. Our whole lives is so like separated out from support and true love, unconditional love, and community, and um, guidance, that we really are trained to believe we have to do everything alone, right? And then we go about in our spiritual work in that way too. And then we wonder why we're feeling so bereft and so barren. And it's not like the good barren that you hear that it, the being a light unto yourself kind of barren. There's a difference because you can feel that when that happens, it's like clear. This is right. So you don't have to go wondering. But if you're feeling like the kind of existential angst of supreme individualism that exists on the planet, no support, no remembering that there's something greater, then I would get a clue and say, maybe this is not needed to feel so alone. And turn your face back to the light, to the sun. Just open and be willing to receive. What's interesting about benevolence is that it doesn't ordinarily come towards you unless you turn your light towards it. You turn your face towards it. Now, when we're in shadow and we're turning away because we don't know any better, it's no fault, right? And we're innocently turning away, think I have to do all this on my own, and it touches on our core trauma, that there's no one there for us, and we're ultimately alone, and we've been betrayed by everyone we know and love. We weren't loved properly, whatever, all those things. So we're lost in that funk, in that whirlpool. How are you going to feel the light of the sun, even if it came and was right here? We're turning away. So we have to be courageous and break the trance enough of our own pain body of feeling so alone and I don't know what's the word, abandoned. So we have to break the trance of our own abandonment and turn and go, is there something else out here that loves me that maybe I can feel into? Try it. It's just waiting. Who has done that and felt the grace come? Who has done that? Thank you. Yeah. And who gives a hoot about whether this is imagination or not? I don't, at some point it's just like, whatever. What do you think being a mystic is? It's opening up to beyond our own imagination, what we know, which is our world, our paradigm, our personal paradigm. So what if it leans into imagination a bit? What if it opens doors that we didn't know were there? And what if you received so much nourishment and support from just opening those doors, and love and grace, just whoosh comes in. And so what if that grace uses imagery that is familiar to your conditioning? What if you had a little bit of Christianity and in your upbringing, or a lot, whatever it is? What if it comes in the form of Mary and Jesus? What if it comes in the form of angels? What if it comes in the form of um, any kind of being, right? You're gonna like push it away because it doesn't fit your idea of your current spiritual idea of what you're following in the moment, that nothing's real. I mean, what if you are? It's okay, there's time for different things, right? Like I said. But if you stay stuck in there and you're in an existential whirlpool of deep unhappiness, then I support looking beyond that. Nothing's real except my own navel and conditioning. That's a whirlpool. So yeah, so it'll come in different forms, and I'm saying that just in case it does, or in case you already know that. And of course, people get lost in that world too. I'm not saying there isn't that possibility of being, now I'm a mystic, and all this is more real than being here now. Because that can be a trap too. So it's all balance. It's about balance. So the path of devotion is a balance. It helps bring balance to the dryness of feeling alone here. It helps open us up beyond ourselves to something greater. It pushes our own boundaries beyond ourselves. The path of devotion awakens the heart and expands, and it actually is the heart. That's why in order to be really a well-balanced human, we don't even have to say spiritual person. I have the sun on me. Yeah, so just, to be well-balanced and integrated, it takes the path of the heart, right? It takes the mind being emptied out of imagination and freed up of beliefs. And it takes a body that is whose nervous system is flowing and not overburdened. So we have to honor these different parts of us to really be an integrated, fully developed whole. Because memory and conditioning is held in the body too. It's not just beliefs here. You guys know that, right? Yeah. So it's just this like love affair. It's a let's be honest, it's a big love affair. And even when you know yourself fully as that, you can still be fully celebrating the love affair. You're not all dry. But then, maybe you go into the way that your fundamental nature is wired. And for me, it's more of a devotional type. It just is. And that's no excuses and no apologies. And for another person, it might really truly be more. In fact, I have a friend who's super, super duper, in my opinion, awake and realized the man, maybe it has to do with the male. I don't know. But I know men who are very devotional. I mean, look at Ram Dass. But anyway, he's just so open, and his heart is open too. But he's not a devotional type. Like he's not like I still go and burn incense and stuff, ring the bell and just enjoy the whole thing. That's me, and him is just like the awakening is the predominant one. Place is probably more mind, but that doesn't mean it's great hierarchy, better or less, more, whatever. Does that make sense? In the end, it's all going to balance itself out and reveal itself how it's going to show up. Maybe you're more body oriented. Maybe you're made of the earth, more substance, and you want to dance it, and you want to that kind of thing. But in the end, we're all of it. We're going to always be all of it. But where it's shining predominantly is going to be unique. Does that make sense? You may already know which way it's where the crack is most open. And that's beautiful. That's diversity. That's the divine in its diversity. Okay. I'm sure I missed something about devotion because I love the topic so much, and I'm just opening it up. But don't know what else to say. I guess in the end, it just depends on what is it you ultimately lean on. Like if push comes to shove, you're in a really tight spot. Like one time I had this dream that revealed my nature in terms of being a devotional type. And I dreamt that there was this demon chasing me through all these different realities, and it was trying to catch me. Like, okay, what about this? What if you're in a corner and there's some awful person that's, dangerous person? And so it was kept doing, what about this? What about this? Which way can I catch you? It was just myself probably wondering where it was still caught. This is the nature of the beautiful unconscious. But see, look. Oh, well, actually, you might not believe this. But this is my experience, is that when we die, we, like I have actually experienced, by being with people who have died, the bardos, that they're, like somehow, even though I'm not Tibetan, I've experienced that that is real. Like these realities exist even after the body falls away, until it either gets reborn or it goes into what they call the clear lands, or it's liberated. It doesn't get bound by anything anymore. Anyway, so those kinds of realities, because to me, I've experienced them, and I experience them in this current state of reality, here and now, bardos, after the body goes, is where does all that stuff go? It still exists. So that's why the Tibetans, they do all those practices, thousands and thousands of years of practice, is because they understand that the nature of mind, and that we have to have something that carries us through, so we don't get caught by the whirlpool of Maya in whatever realm of existence. So anyway, that's what I'm saying, is like, what do you ultimately lean on? So in the end, in this dream that I had, I got caught in the dream. And you know what it was? This was 5-10 years, I'm bad with time, so a while ago. So either it's still true, I would be caught that way, or it's been resolved, I don't know. But technology, I was in this like bardo hell realm of like a circuit board, and I felt caught by the circuit board, like dehumanized, nothing human. I guess if you were to ask me the truth, what I don't like about modern world is all the technology, even though this is what we're doing here. So anyway, it's scary to me, the whole 5G or whatever is coming, because my body's so sensitive. I'm like a little hummingbird, I feel it. But anyway, so it caught me, my fear. And what I did then in the dream is I called out Amma's name. The biggest teacher I have on this planet Earth, in the body. I think it's important to have someone in the body that you kind of see as a model, or several. The Earth too, but the Earth is not in a human body. It's the body of the Earth and all of us. But you know what I mean. I think that disembodied beings is powerful to have as models, but there's nothing like seeing someone in the flesh and feeling it in the flesh of what's possible. So that's me personally. So I called out Amma, and it went poof. The whole thing went poof. The whole demon realm. So that's why I say, in terms of the devotional path, I think it's super, super valuable to have a being or something that you really, truly, like, you count on. And I knew in my hearts of hearts that I can count on this, on Amma, on the whatever Amma represents to me. So body, no body, you remember something? And that dream, which you could be caught in, which obviously you can be caught in for a whole life. Here we are. Some people are dreaming away, moment to moment. We all are in certain ways, right? But what do you remember? What's your thread that helps you stay connected to truth in the best way you know how? You can only be true to the ultimate truth that you know right now. You can't pretend you're further along than you are. That's the rawness of truth, is that you are where you are. So be honest. But within that honesty, what do you lean on? If it's in your own heart and you have something you lean on fully, absolutely beautiful. I'm not saying it has to be outside of you, but I think it's important to find that and hold it by its tail. Catch it and hold it and don't let go, forever. And let the benevolence of that take you along its own ride, because it knows what it's doing, even when you don't. So that's the power of ultimate true devotion, is that you are in alignment with something that knows what's going on and what it's doing. And then you let go. It's got you.